For our rag on and talk about how much of, because I can go for hours on about how, pandering, one dimensional, how much of a cock boy, that he is, that Kenny is. But I'm even doing it now. But let me get into it first. And we'll go from there. Okay, so this is from Ringside News, of course. I gotta start doing that again. Wherever the sources I'm getting it from. Even though then I don't trust Ringside News or whatever. But yeah, this is from Ringside News. But all right, Kenny Omega. So Kenny Omega is he's found to be judging. He basically drags, or basically talks shiznat for, to the, Americans for, their ignorance, so-called ignorance, as if all Americans think like this to begin with. But it's basically dragging Americans for being ignorant towards Japanese wrestling. Alright, I'm not gonna read, if you don't know who Kenny Omega is or not, he's basically a jobber, a giant star, one of the ones that came up from the indies, but he's basically a jobber star to the indies that, got his start in Japan. Okay. And, he's one of the greats. I mean, he, considered himself, but, he's one of the top talents in AEW. So there you go. Okay, so let me go to what it said. And it says he's always been a huge fan of Japanese women's wrestling. He said even with the few visits she's had overseas, she's already been introduced to how ignorant and pathetic the know-it-all fans on social media can be. Ignore them and show everyone just how obvious the difference in skill is. The true supporters are also watching and supporting you. And that's from what she said. I'll put it right there up for y'all as well, so y'all can see. Or y'all want to just go to the original tweet, which is on Kenny Omega's Twitter account by himself. But that's responding to what she said. This Japanese woman wrestler, and I guess she's in AEW, of course, because that's where all the indie midget or jobber to the stars fans and stars in their own minds. That's where they're going to be. He says some of you might say, "Who the hell?" She's basically saying that, like, who are you? And she said, "But I'm not afraid because I have been fighting in Japan among the best team, the best team." If I heard that correctly. Okay. I've always strived to be one of a kind because only I am me. I will win this fight my way. And become a quickie player. I will win this fight my way and become AEW champion. Alright. Let's get into this. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. It's what I'm talking about also before the time that I've been here. If you watched, like I said, there's many in the archive if you want to see about it. I've spoken on AEW plenty and the WWE from Codeside. I try to speak on it more, but I've been trying to. This is my first dish out on Kenny Omega 2 as a whole, and I've heard he's on numerous occasions he's made himself look like a complete illicit, just dumbfounded buffoon on multiple occasions. And he's like, I've heard his well public and just publicized basically standoff and rivalry with Jim Cornette, and how they just clash at each other all the time. It's just straight up wild. It just goes to show you how, like I said, I understand whoever you like and everything like that, and there's obvious big marks, and there's just clear that they try to pretend that they are the be all end all and that they know everything when it comes to about wrestling and everything like that. But it's like, obviously you're gonna have some people, you're gonna have those ones, you're gonna have that's why you have demographics. You don't have Like, I'm sorry, but there's gonna be people like their own categories. People like what they like. And yeah, and there's stereotypes and they exist and people like what they like. And so not everybody likes anime. Not everybody likes New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not everybody's gonna like everything that goes upon what's going on in Japan right now. So that's why opinions exist. But of course that's dead now because no one else to hear that. You have to be an NPC. You have to follow everything that they believe in. So I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of just fed up with the fact that you have to like this. You have to be subjected to this. It doesn't matter. You have to watch. Watch this. You have to watch this. I don't care. We don't care what you think. We're gonna force this down your throat. And you're gonna forcibly watch what you don't like. And it's completely nonsensical, man. It's like, let people enjoy what they want to enjoy and enjoy what they want to like. It's not that deep. It's that simple. But of course, you're gonna have juiced up Krispy Kreme snowflakes like Kenny Omega. They're gonna, go out of their way and just desperately try to force upon you, and they're gonna tell you otherwise. Oh my gosh, man! I'm just completely sick of this, and this whole generation of just mindset of that. You don't have to have it. You don't deserve an opinion, and you have to watch from everybody else. You have to forcefully be fed what everybody else enjoys, and you have to be an NPC like everybody else. Even though it's kind of always been that way, but it's just like everybody, you can't be yourself, and whatever that you want to like or enjoy. You have to be subjected to what everybody else watches or what they enjoy, their likes and dislikes. And it's like, that's exactly why humans there's not many to differentiate from humans. It's like, and this wrestler right here, because of course you have everybody, like I said, these wrestlers, these sort of amount of wrestlers that think they're top, or who they are to where they are, all because they have a small sense, small midget sort of boss that thinks about, coked up, and that has, all because he fantasizes about a certain profile of wrestling, in this case the indies or New Japan, like all because they have that, and they have and where they at, the AEW happens to be one of the biggest wrestling companies on the planet. They think that's because they're the shits, and that's they're on top, and that that they're on top of anybody else, when you're pretty much she basically describes the whole generic Japanese wrestler, or whatever you want to call it. I have to fight for me. Maybe am I? You can't tell me that I'm not gonna be good. I'm good enough for this battle. The whole 9 yards. I'm gonna strive through this battle. I'm gonna be the best who I could be. Like Goku, whoever. Like Goku is the definition of your whole generic, Japanese or Asian, fight through the fight against the system, break through the rust. You have your struggles, and your whole trials and tribulations and everything like that. Like, this is like, it's just stereotypical. It's just like your typical Japanese or whoever anime, like any like you're not any other different from pretty much every other Japanese or Asian. Not to, like, that pretty much, even though it does sound like a stereotype, it's true. Like, she's no different from anybody else. She's anybody else in AEW and anybody else in New Japan or where she came from. Like, it's that, like, who are you? And you're no different. You're no different from that sort of crowd. It's like, yeah, it's that basic. This is the basic 101. Like, for these anime characters or these Japanese, whoever they are in their profession is. And it's like, that's why people can't get into you, because especially nowadays too, because people think that they're so, they're head over heels, they're so queenish for themselves, and that they think they're on this imaginary mountain. And then you get to Kenny Omega. Like I said, you have ones like Kenny Omega, like, I said, like, are you even? I said, I get where you want to be a part of the culture, and okay, you have what you like, but like I said, like, not everybody is going to enjoy what you like or enjoy. Not everybody is going to be into anime or Japanese wrestling. Not everybody's going to be into what you want to be in, even who you like or fall like. Everybody's history. That's what makes the person different from the other person. It's because they have a whole set another personality, and that's the problem. That's why wrestling is where it is at, because you also not only have this whole set of culture that wants everybody to think the same, but you have wrestlers that think that think there's something when they're not. It's the truth. Like I said, Kenny, when it comes to Kenny Omega, like, I'm not even pretty sure, does he know? Like, does he even know? Like, especially considering the case with how all the, considering the shit that USA has done to Japan. But, like, has he even know? Like, the, like, continuous, like, they even dislikes differentiate from, like does he, like, what even Japan be in his wheelhouse? Like, would they even be for him? Like I said, you have, like, he has this whole wannabe Japan, or having want into, if you want to call the term appropriate, or be a culture vulture, or just he wants to pretend, or so desperately wants to be a part of Japanese culture. Like I said, I'm sick of these individuals too. These nerded, nerded, beastful, ramen noodles eating type of, jerks like Kenny Omega, that all because that they've studied or a class of Japanese, and that they've been to Japan a few times, or they even try to get their appearance to even, they have the whole style to look like a Japanese or a Chinese, whatever culture that they want to be in set. They automatically think they're one of them. Like, it's not how it works. They don't even like you. like Japan, like those going into those countries, they don't even like America, or they don't even like some sort of their own kind. They even had battles with their own kind. So what make they think they're gonna like you? Like, I'm just completely sick of it. It's just so annoying that you have to don't disrespect this culture. Like, what? Well, at the whole time, they're not even for the culture, and this is just a straight up fake, and they're only, being within the cultures as if so they can have, that demographic there, and they can just use that launching pad so they can get to where they actually want to be. If you're so about the culture, if you're so Japan, like, then why are you not in Japan? Why aren't you there now? It's just stop, completely fooling yourself. Like, just stop fooling yourself, because you're not fooling anybody but yourself. It's like the same thing with pro-black, or it's just or white people that think that this whole, like, America is so sort of, that they think that their countries are all peaches and cream, but they'll never do anything to them. When they've been living in, whatever you want to call it, communist or capitalism, that they've been living in a drone-like society their entire lives, and they don't even know it. So it's like you're trying to defend it. You're trying to defend a whole culture that doesn't even like you to begin with. You're trying to be like I said, you're trying to be a part of them and be with them and fight for them. I said, and it's completely laughable. Like I said, you can have what you like, but don't try to force it upon and just forcefully shove it down other people's throats just because they mock or they don't. Like I said, that's the world it is. That's the world, society that we live in. If you don't like it, then, completely go off yourself. I'll be gladly to get in line for that. Like, yeah, go somewhere, go bury yourself under, be a caveman. Like, it's utterly ridiculous that we have this more sort of mindset. I'm sick of it. I'm just in the whole mindset of, like, when it comes to, because, like, there's countries like that, when you come to these third world countries and they're just completely contradicting themselves, and communist and third world countries, like, literally treat their citizens, even, or their so-called, blood, brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever, and they treat their kind even worse. And they try to say that we're better than this country. Oh, we're so tough. They can't mess with us. We're so much better than you. We're even more worse. And that's why even your own citizens are leaving your countries and go to be somewhere else, where what you hate more, and America, and that even makes them much more riled up, because they know that that even they're even more horrific to their own citizens. I was like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, just completely ridiculous, like just utterly, just like. Exactly why I just completely zone myself. Like when it comes to, I completely zone myself out of when it comes to these sort of times. Like this is why I barely keep up to date, or I just refuse to watch this sort of being in this period of wrestling, or just like this period of I guess you can call it entertainment. Because like you have individuals that's so full. That's like because you have so many people with narratives that want to be or they want to force their ideologies onto other people. It's the same. It's been like that for ages, and it's just like, while the same sort of time, just contradicting themselves and making themselves out to be complete doofuses. So, I said, like what you like, but don't try to force that onto anybody else. And it's just like, I guess I'll say, it's just once again, Kenny Omega looking like a dumbass.